Is human rights violations an election issue in Tamil Nadu? As the state heads into 2026 assembly elections, serious questions are being raised about its human rights record. According to human rights activists, Tamil Nadu has witnessed 25 custodial deaths in the past 5 years, 15 alleged extrajudicial killings, and several instances of police torture reported from stations across the state. Do these issues influence public when they step out to cast their votes? Does accountability for custodial violence and encounter killings become part of political conversation during the election season? And who is responsible for ensuring accountability and justice? In this week's In Public Interest, I speak with human rights defender and executive director of People's Watch, Henri Tiphagne, about human rights record of DMK government and whether these concerns will shape the 2026 election battle. This election season, we stand with you, the people. In our special election series, our show In Public Interest will bring you the issues that matter, important voices, ground realities, and every side of the story. We promise to bring you stories you need to know before you vote. But we can't do this without you. All you need to do is scan this QR code and contribute to our reporting fund. Because independent journalism matters now, during the most important event of democracy more than ever. Sir, thank you so much for talking to us. How has been the track record of the DMK government when it comes to human rights issues?
Well, DMK from 2019, immediately after the Sterlite Thoothukudi firings, came out with a lot of assurances, creating hope in the minds of the families of the survivors as well as the general public, including their own alliance partners perhaps. And everybody hoped that something would take place. So when they came to power in 2021, they had their interim report. In 2022, they got the final report of Justice Aruna Jagdishan Commission, which had clearly indicted all the officers responsible from the rank of DGP up to head constables. It was a very well documented, evidence-backed report that came. Till today, we only see retirements taking place of people who were in that report. Nothing has moved.
Who have been indicted by the commission?
Judicial Commission. Now, they might say they gave compensation. They might say that they attended to some of the injured very well. I have no different opinion on that. But I'm on the question of prosecutions. You said in Tamil, you said you will ensure that they are punished, criminally punished. That has not commenced. That will speak what the track record of this government has been in the last 5 years. They are completing their 5 years. They made promises in the elections in 2019. They made promises in 2021. They made promises in 2024. And we are still here to see what action they have taken. They have not even been able to take disciplinary actions and complete disciplinary proceedings against these police officials. This speaks about who is responsible in this government for matters relating to human rights, matters relating to police excesses, matters relating to justice issues. Who's responsible? And that person who's responsible has still so far never spoken on any of these issues.
You said that there was a lot of hope. When did that hope actually turn into disappointment?
Well, that hope turned into disappointment with the events that followed. Now, all I said was before they came into power. The moment they came into power, in 2022, you started having a series of custodial deaths that took place. Now, I don't want to hold a government responsible for custodial deaths, but the culture of custodial deaths in Tamil Nadu only continued with the DMK government. So much so that it is what started in 2021 has ended in 2026 with a tally of 25 different persons who have died in police custody. And 15 others in 13 incidents have been killed in what they call encounter killings.
Police encounter.
Police encounter killings. Now, if it was any other government, we are not going to talk about this. We are going to highlight it and things of that sort. But in this government, there was an expectation created that they were definitely not going to allow all this. It was so bad that in 2022, in the case of Vignesh, on the floor of the assembly, the same chief minister was taken for a raid. And he was taken for a raid by none other than his own intelligence police officers. And thereafter, about 2 weeks thereafter, and you are much more aware of that incident than me also, immediately ensured that he concurred with the post-mortem findings, etc. This is daringness, that the police dare kill a person in custody during assembly sessions. And this has happened not once, it has happened on several occasions during this government's tenure. Now, this is what talks about the extent of immunity that is already felt by the police officers of the top rank here.
So when you talk about who is responsible, on the law and order machinery, the Home Department comes under the Chief Minister. So he effectively handles the police machinery. So the blame is directly on the Chief Minister, right?
No, none other than the Chief Minister for me. Because he is the minister responsible for police, and he has to take these into his account, and he has to answer for this. They may talk about Chatangalam having progress. They may say, yes, they have done nothing. It is all what took place during the previous regime that has been carried on in courts of law. And if there has been any delay, it is because of the judiciary, not because of anybody else. And it's going to come to an end in a matter of a month or so. Today is the last date when the arguments will be taking place. What do they have to say about Balbir Singh? What do they have to say about each of these cases, not only of deaths, not only of encounter killings, but also of brutal torture that have taken place in the state? What are they to answer? Where you have top IPS officers involved. You had Uday Kumar involved in Chengalpet district, in the case of, in Kanjipuram district, in the case of Valayapati. We are happy he's alive. We are really happy he's alive. And if he's alive, it is only because of medical intervention and the timely intervention of the prison authorities in Vellore, who recommended to the court that he should be let off on bail, otherwise he was in serious condition. On Balbir Singh, what do they have to say? The Officers Association went on record. And despite the Officers Association going on record that there was a media trial against Balbir Singh, their own high-level committee's report is yet to see the light of the day. Amuda IAS's comprehensive final report has not been seen at all. There is a contempt petition pending in court against Amuda IAS. So you can go into any incident, and in every incident you will see that there have been incomplete steps taken by the government. Their own DGP in the year 2023 comes out with the 41 guidelines. Okay, this was the reaction to what was taking place in the state at that point of time. The 41 guidelines are not known to any other subsequent DGPs or those acting as DGPs at the moment. So all this responsibility, who takes? So the CM has to take all these responsibilities.
But the question is the government taking any responsibility? I have reported on these issues, and I know from the fact, immediately after an incident has taken place, the first thing that they would do is cover up. And that started with Vignesh's case, and it continued till Sivagangai, Ajit Kumar's case. They wanted to cover up. They want to brush this under the carpet, these kind of human rights violations. Why is that so? Why is there no accountability is the question.
The worst example that we can show is in Valayapati's case, which the State Human Rights Commission took up. Now, we are all critics of this institution and its functioning. But here was a case where positively they found there was enough evidence to point out that there had been torture. Now, these officers whom we have been speaking about, Uday Kumar and others, IPS officer Uday Kumar and others, their hands were fully stained with blood in this case. The tiff between the government and the State Human Rights Commission's chairperson was in the public. There's nothing private here. The security was withdrawn from his house. They wanted to teach the chairperson of the SHRC a lesson. So I'm not only saying that these incidents are taking place, these brutal incidents are taking place. Counter orders are being given. You have the case of the ADGP, who's now the ADGP Devasirvadam, Davidson already came with his baggage from Madurai when he came here. He went into the intelligence. What happened when he was in intelligence, everybody knows. The litigation that were initiated in the High Court, everybody knows. The number of meetings this ADGP has had with IPS officers and giving them counter directions of how to use force is known to all IPS officers in the state. Today he has moved on. He's been promoted as a DGP. He's also in this list of people who are anticipating that they will be recommended for a position in the DGP. That is a sad state of affairs that we have. So there were opportunities. It is not that there were no opportunities. Their institutions are speaking about it. They created with such fanfare a SC/ST commission. What has been the addition that the SC/ST commission has brought to a social justice government? What I mean, one commission has retired and gone. A chief justice of the High Court was chairing it. I know the cries of people who served on that panel, on that commission, privately, who have cried to us and saying we came here with ambitions. Nothing happened. Now you have a second commission which has taken over, and I don't think they would be able to do much. They don't even have a website. You're talking about the digital era. You're talking about so many other investments of crores of rupees. You can't even hand over a website to a SC/ST commission, to a women's commission, to a minority commission, to your women's commission. What do you expect them to do? You don't pay them salaries. That's a different question. The salary that is paid to the SC commission and the SCPCR is a pittance. SCPCR is paid 1,000 rupees a month for a member. What do you expect them to do? They are supposed to be looking after the interests of children. Everybody cries about the interests of children here, genuinely cries about the interests of children. But the SCPCR doesn't have a website. The SCPCR has a political nominee who everybody laughs at as its chairperson, who's been appointed by this present government. You have you have two legislations which they are supposed to monitor. The SCPCR. I don't know whether the chairperson knows that she has to monitor the RTE Act in the state. I don't know whether she knows that she has to monitor the JJ Act in the state. All these are responsibilities under the legislations. So institutions as well are consciously not being provided resources, personnel, finances, etc.
So on one hand, when there is maladministration or there is some kind of lacuna in the administration is one thing. But when institutions are not allowed to function or not provided adequate resources, then it's something which is very serious, right? It is not something which is just a coincidence. Like, it's deliberate. Do you think it's deliberate?
I don't know how to answer this question. I mean, any third person who's looking at this, what will they answer? They are in election mode. They have a State Human Rights Commission led by a chairperson. 6 or 8 months ago, one of their members resigned. What is the minimum they could have done? If they are concerned about elections, they are concerned about people, the first thing they should have done is when Justice Silaba retired, completed his term, they should have been able to fill up that vacancy. In December, on the 23rd of December, I think, or the 26th of December, Mr. Kannadasan completed his term. Both those vacancies are continuing. And while they are continuing, you have custodial deaths. On the 19th of February, you have a custodial death that has taken place 2 days ago. And these incidents are continuing. So even the State Human Rights Commission doesn't take suo motu notice of all these incidents that are taking place.
So the situation was not this bad previously. How did we come here? Or was it, the same in all these governments?
See, each of these commission, as regards institution, the situation is already bad. So let's not try to say that this is worse than the previous. I'm not trying to compare it all. But in terms of the new institution that they created with such fanfare, I mean, it is their creation. Should they not pay attention to it? Is it just because you create an institution and leave it there, it works? I mean, this is totally wrong. So these institutions are actually in a bad shape today, extremely bad shape today. There might be things that are going well with school education, that are being well with women's rights, etc. But the institution that is supposed to monitor and govern these rights through the State Human Rights Commission, state commissions here, they have not been functioning to the extent that they should be functioning. Neither have they been given the resources to function independently. And that is the point I'm trying to make. An individual might not perform one day, they might perform the next day. But if you categorically deny them staff, if you deny them personnel, if you deny them resources, and you threaten a chairperson that you will withdraw, and you withdrew security in his house, what do you expect that commission to do? Naturally, there will be mute spectators to your 24th police killing that took place on the 19th in Tambaram, and 2 days ago in Ariyalur district. So every day there is almost a custodial death that is taking place. And your police officers are hand in gloves with their elected representatives. In Tambaram, we saw that. And this is just repeating what has happened in every other place. In compensations being given, 6 lakhs was given in Tambaram to ensure that the family did not speak. They think that people will not go to court. Ajit Kumar was an exception. Ajit Kumar's mother and brother were brought to the autopsy hall of Rajaji Hospital in a DMK flag bearing car with a promise of 50 lakhs. Intervention was there by local advocates. A local advocate for the family was willing to go to court, filed a petition in court, and ensured that today he gets legally 32 lakhs 500 rupees as compensation, has got a job for the son, etc. That is a complete exception. Otherwise, the normal course is nothing of this takes place.
So, this kind of compensation is being given at a local level, or somebody takes care of the money part of it, and then the entire story is brushed under the carpet. The entire incident is brushed under the carpet.
Yes.
But when it comes to accountability, like, what has the chief minister done? One incident after another the state has witnessed. But has there been any kind of messaging from the government, from the political leadership of the state, that this is something which is unacceptable? The government does not stand for something like this.
There's a general perception that after every incident there have been some changes. For example, the Satankulam incident, which is of course the AIADMK government. What was withdrawn was the Friends of Police scheme was withdrawn.
A very insignificant, thing.
But something happened, is what they want to say. Now, after Ajit Kumar's case, what they said was the special teams have all been dissolved, completely dissolved. People think it is the court which said it. The court never asked anybody to dissolve a special team. Court never appoints special teams. Court never deals with doing away with special team. This was from the Chief Minister himself. Let's be categorically clear. What has happened after that? Your own DGP, who's now retired, Saidendra Babu, came with this 41 guidelines. Does the next DGP, even the present acting DGP, know what those 41 guidelines are? 41 guidelines speaks about this very special team also. The 4th or 5th item speaks about the special team also. So this is lying to people and no accountability at all to people. And I hope that this election will make sure, and neither do political parties speak. The other political parties don't speak on these issues, unfortunately. The opposition party doesn't speak on these issues to the extent they should be speaking. So it is left to civil society to be talking, or courts when they choose to speak on these issues, to take up these issues. That is very unfortunate.
Sir, you have been following certain cases, but in all these cases, there appears to be some sort of a delay Like even after the chief minister, admitting that some wrongdoing has happened. But after that, what happens? Are the cases being followed properly? Is there some sort of resources that are provided to ensure that, you know, s- the case is taken to its logical conclusion?
Let us make sure the government doesn't escape saying the responsibility is on courts. The investigation, everything depends on the police investigation in these cases. In cases where police investigation has been impeccable, very efficient, because of the pressure given by different sections of society, maybe also political parties, in case of torture by the joint action against custodial torture sometimes, you find that quality investigation has led to quality prosecution being initiated. And one such example would be that case of Muruganandam in Tirupur. That was a very, very exceptional case. So there are good examples, but I'm pointing these good examples only to show this can be done. The monitoring was done by an IG, the monitoring was done by a DIG, the monitoring was followed by an SP, and they made sure that despite there being lower officers who were completely corrupt and had been sold in this particular case, the case was restored and brought back trust in the family. The same with what do you call Ajit Kumar's case. They handed it over to the CBI. The CBI was the High Court was at the neck of the CBI. Therefore, the CBI came forward with its
findings.
The first charge sheet, and then we pushed the principle of command and responsibility in that case, and therefore Shanmugha Sundaram is now before court, his inspectors before court, etc. So all these are exceptional actions. In normal course, prosecutors, the additional assistant prosecutors, the assistant director of prosecution, the deputy director of prosecutions are not used to the extent they should be used in such matters. And I have found, and I say it with gratitude to good officers, in those cases where you found deputy directors of prosecution intervening, assistant directors of prosecution intervening, things were qualitatively different. So it is no action from top that is leading people to this kind of a despair.
Sir, apart from the human rights violations that we have seen over the years, there's also another disturbing trend that had taken place in the past few years. Activists being killed. Activists, those who are opposing mining in those areas. Activists, those who have lodged complaints against illegal mining in, for example, in Pudukottai or in Karur. Those kind of activists have all been killed, and it's very brazen. Don't you think all this is something which clearly shows that there is some kind of deterioration in terms of law and order?
Once again, I want to remind the Chief Minister of certain other assurances he made and come to your question. And the other assurance that he made when they took over was that all these people who have been prosecuted for protests that were undertaken, whether it is in the Delta region, whether it is in Kodangulam, you name it, whether it was the anti-CA protest, etc., all the cases will be withdrawn. Believe me, today there are hundreds of families who are still going to courts from Kodangulam because the cases are still against them. What does the Chief Minister have to say? I don't understand why movements there are not raising it. But I'm very, very disturbed to see that people who were part and parcel of the anti-nuclear Kodangulam protests, many of them are still in court. Professor Jayaraman, and I'm naming him straight, Professor Jayaraman, who was in the Delta region against these Kadiramangalam, all these protests, ONGC-related protests, he is still going to court today. What is this promise of saying all these cases will be removed? I'm not talking about people like us. I'm talking about all these people. So protests, this is what was assured, that all these protests, people who are involved in these protests their cases against them will be withdrawn by the government. It has not been withdrawn by the government, Mrs. Stalin. That is exactly what we have to tell them. The second question that you asked was also past cases that were there, which they have not been paying attention to. 2015, you had 20 Tamils killed in Chittoor area. Those cases are still pending.
The Chief Minister promised that he'll take action.
All this was assurances made by them. Now, the National Human Rights Commission has not come forward to even vacate the stay petition against the National Human Rights Commission in the Andhra High Court, which has now gone to the Andhra Pradesh High Court. It was the common old Hyderabad High Court. Now it's gone to the Andhra Pradesh High Court. That is still pending. So you can narrate one incident after another incident of promises that were made which have not been kept. And your question was also
about activists being killed.
And
those who are
so these are all human rights defenders. So the idea of the government was that they recognized human rights defenders. Those who are protesting were human rights defenders. And the cases that you are pointing out, whether it is in Karur, whether it is in Thuthukudi, Tirunelveli, whether it is in Pudukkottai, or whether it is in Vadipatti, these are all human rights defenders who have been either killed or who have been attacked and who have been threatened to be killed, etc. And all this is because of money making that is linked with definitely functionaries of their political party. Let's not. The one who was killed in Karur, I can't get his name now. Jagannathan was a member of the DMK party. If they want political allegiance to be a reason, here is Jagannathan's case still pending in the Karur court. Still pending in the Karur court. Jagavarali's case, the charge sheet has just been filed. After a year, the charge sheet has been filed by the CBCID.
Jagavarali is part of AIADMK.
He is part of the AIADMK.
And the opposition party leader never visited his house.
Nobody visited. Nobody visited his house. They did nothing. Today, the family is together. That's a good thing because many people think the family is not together. The family is together. All his children are together. Whether they were from which family they were born is not the issue. They all stand with the father and his father's dedication. But what has the government done for them? He has raised issues of corruption amounting to several thousand crores in Pudukkottai district. And what is it that the government gave as a relief for this family? Did nothing. And he's from the ADMK. That still was. So you are more engaged with the corruption. And unfortunately, we have to point this out, that you have not had the freedom to be looking into matters which relate to human rights of people.
You made a very important and interesting point that political parties are not raising these issues. Before 2021, we saw the CPIM, VCK, even the DMK, a lot of political parties would raise these issues. They'll make this as a public campaign. But what is absent in this past 5 years is that nobody is willing to talk about these issues. Nobody is, even the opposition party is not willing to speak about these issues. Why is that so? And do you think that this is something that one should be very concerned about?
I think now we should be able to look at democracy itself, and for looking at democracy and not wanting to be seen in the context of bashing a government which is going to face elections. A democracy needs a good ruling party, but a very strong opposition party. And unfortunately, those who used to oppose incidents of violations, whatever they were, whether it related to women, Dalits, etc., are now almost seen as being silenced. They do speak. If you want, they will respond saying, I spoke here, I spoke there. But unfortunately, the pressure that they used to create earlier, that pressure is not seen on the ground. That is as regards those who used to speak. Those who never used to speak are now sitting in opposition. And they have unfortunately let down this democracy. For us, people engaged in human rights, I don't think we should get caught with X party and Y party. We should look at this democratic system. We should look at the judiciary as well. The judiciary has let us down badly. The opposition parties have let us down badly. All these issues that we were talking about are issues that the judiciary, through its legal services authority, could have been taken. Now, judiciary is very, very sensitive. And because they are so sensitive about comments that are made about them, let us also point out their failures and see whether anybody is willing to come out. Why should this last death in Tambaram be known only to X and Y in civil society? Why should it not be known to the State Legal Services Authority, led by none other than the Chief Justice of Tamil Nadu? Why should it not be known to the concerned district judge in Chengalpet, who is responsible for the Tambaram area in terms of the district judiciary? Why should the Ariyalur district judge not have been able to take this issue up? So, judiciary also has to be made accountable. State Human Rights Commission silences itself. The judiciary silences itself. They take all sorts of matters suo moto. You write something in the NCRT. I would love to go and see what this NCRT book is, because I'm really concerned to read about this, because everybody knows what is happening. Everybody knows what is happening. And the judges know what is happening. And good judges are putting their heads down in shame. We are able to at least speak about it. They are sitting inside the system. So judiciary is also responsible. And the opposition is responsible. So it is not to throw the responsibility on the parties and run away, but other institutions which are supposed to function should also be functioning.
Okay, my last question, sir. Don't you think these are all issues that should dominate the elections?
I don't think the people, unfortunately, in politics look at these issues as issues that should be taken up during elections. Let me give you an example. Unfortunately, the example should not indicate any inkling that I have for any of the parties. After one of the Ajit Kumar's case, we had one of these parties were the first entrant to the elections now, suddenly calling upon almost 20 torture survivors' families, or people who had died in custodial death during the DMK regime, taken them all the way from their districts to their party office. And I had a witness inside who told me that this discussion with the families was a very moving discussion, where the leader of that particular party even shed tears at several cases. It went on for about 2.5 hours. What else do they need? The next day they had a protest here in Chennai. 10 families were sent back, 10 were put on the stage. The address of that political leader on this issue of custodial death was a few minutes. This shows where political parties are actually standing. We spoke about the opposition. We are speaking about somebody who wants to enter into politics. None of them are willing. They are willing to do the drama, but none of them are willing to go beyond the drama. And unfortunately, that is what we are lacking. That opposition parties, alliance partners, are not in a position today to do what they actually should have been doing.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure talking to you, sir. Thank you.